Ladies and gentlemen, it is over. The Greg Berhalter era of the United States football team, national football team, is over. They actually have a coach. It is unbelievable. I'm actually quite excited. This video will particularly be covering the United States, the shambles that is the United States Footballing Federation and national team. Excuse me, drinking some tea. And what exactly we can look forward to under Mauricio Pochettino. Now, before I begin, I would love to read what the United States soccer.com wrote about Pochettino. And I'm going to read some of this stuff. So this is from U.S. Soccer Sporting Director Matt Crocker, who led a global search process and made the final decision to appoint Pochettino as head coach. Mauricio is a serial winner with a deep passion for player development and a proven ability to build cohesive and competitive teams. His track record speaks for itself, and I am confident that he is the right choice to harness the immense potential within our talented squad. We are thrilled to have Mauricio on board as we embark on this exciting journey to achieve success on the global stage. The decision to join U.S. Soccer wasn't just about football for me, it's about the journey that this team and this country are on, Pochettino said. The energy, the passion, and the hunger to achieve something truly historic here. Those are the things that inspired me. The opportunity to lead the U.S. men's national team in front of fans who are just as passionate as the players is something that I couldn't pass up. I see a group of players full of talent and potential, and together we're going to build something special that the whole nation can be proud of. I am sold. However, there is a big elephant in the room. It's that this team is shit. Yeah. No, Copa America was something else, man. I to be honest with you, I think that football in this country is there is I would say a societal problem with the sport in this country, and I'll talk from the beginning to the end of it. And I think that starts with grassroots. The grassroots level in this country is a joke. Now, I think the issue with the United States is, yes, this team does have potential, and I would say it's one of the stronger teams that this country has probably produced in its history. However, I would say, not in terms of talent, but I would say maybe in terms, I guess I could look at some similarities with England in the sense that they have a squad that could maybe not win something, but can definitely do something. It's just that it goes down to management and to the federation and the people in charge of those who put the coaches, etc., in power, and their job is to win the tournaments as opposed to not winning them. Now, I think with the United States, we've seen this transition of players that were quality that were playing in the MLS. You know, the very few players that were quality that played in the MLS are now going to Europe. So you have Christian Pulisic, you have, Tyler Adams, you have quite a deep Weston McKennie, you have quite a few American players that are actually quite decent. But I would say that American fans like to hype them up because I think that the level of quality that this team has is something that we've never really experienced. Even though it's good, I don't think this country or team is prepared to beat an England, a France, an Argentina, a Brazil, Belgium even. I think that the quality is just not there, and I think that starts from the grassroots level. It goes through to the domestic league in the United States, and now there's a reason why we're seeing American players leave the MLS, because in all honesty, the MLS is fucking horseshit. It is potentially one of the worst leagues I've ever experienced watching in any sport. The quality is shocking, and it is presumably a retirement home for some of the best players that ever graced the game that were playing in Europe that are now coming here to make a bag. Now, I'm excited for Mauricio Pochettino. I'm excited for the future of football under Mauricio Pochettino. However, we have seen decent coaches in the past that were given the opportunity to coach the United States national team not exactly achieve what they were expected to. Now, in my opinion, and I think I might get some flack from this. My favorite U.S. men's coach was Jurgen Klinsmann. I think that what he had at the time very much overachieved, taking the United States to a Copa America semifinal where they eventually got destroyed and dismantled by Argentina, taking them, I want to say, to the round of 16 out of the group of death in 2014 with Germany, Portugal, and Ghana. I think that he was a good coach. There was an identifiable style of play, and I think that that team was pretty good. Jermaine Jones, Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard, etc. Now, fast forward, since his departure or firing, the United States failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, which was a fucking shambles. Underperformed, I would say, in the 2022 World Cup. And the Copa America, I don't even want to talk about that because that was honestly disgraceful and disgusting. And I think that team was a farce. And that goes down to the federation. Now, I think the U.S. should have made an appointment like this 2 years ago. Greg Berhalter, for as much as he is a football coach, he's actually a PE coach. He has no fundamental style of play. He seems like a really nice bloke, but at the same time, presumably he's just very average. Not even average. He's terrible. And we saw that during Copa America, specifically against Uruguay, where we could talk about robbery or not with the decision to allow a goal, if I remember this correctly, but just the overall style of play, the lack of desire was just disgusting to watch, to be honest with you. And it was honestly one of the most embarrassing things I've ever watched, that the United States could not get out of a group that they presumably were hosting the fucking tournament. And even the fans couldn't get up for it. And that's another thing that I think that the federation felt pressure from for the first time, finally, is that the viewership showed. Not a lot of fans went to these games, and they couldn't sell out a must-win game against Uruguay in one of those NFL stadiums I couldn't tell you the name of. I think it was in Kansas City. But just the overall structure of the federation is a joke. And, unfortunately, Pochettino will now have a year and a half, 2 years, to really get this team to click and to be ready for the 2026 World Cup, which I'm going to do a whole nother video on because I don't even want to begin to talk about how ill-prepared this country is for hosting a world international. Jesus Christ, LA, for example. I don't even want to get into the fucking rant. It's just terrible. But anyway, now looking forward at the Mauricio Pochettino hiring, and I think that there were only really two options for hiring of this job. Potentially three, but I would say realistically two. The first, my option would have been Jurgen Klopp. I understand that he left Liverpool and he's probably retired and will never return to the game, presumably. But I think that you needed to bring in a level of not just tactical prowess, but someone that can motivate people, someone that the United States fans can support, get behind. I think someone that is very relatable in that everyday sense, which is why I think, Liverpool fans, regardless of where they live, I'm here in LA. I've only been to Anfield once or twice in my life, but I watch all the games, every week. But building that level of connection, setting down the foundations for success, I think should be the first step that Mauricio Pochettino implements into this team. There needs to be a sense of fearlessness. There needs to be a sense of, even though we may not be good as a Germany or a Holland or a Spain or, dare I say, teams like Japan that are even more organized and fundamentally sound as a footballing nation than the United States, we should be able to compete. I think the excuses of not being able to produce talent is done. I think that this country now needs to really have a reset in the way that football is approached from the youth level all the way to its senior level. And I think that starts with grassroots, that makes it more affordable for everybody to play. I had played grassroots level for 15 years of my life, and I remember I played club football for a few years, and it was criminally expensive. And I was okay. I was pretty decent. But there are kids then now in the future that will have twice, 3, 4 times the level of talent that I ever could have in my footballing career, that should be given an opportunity to play football. Not just because that this country, in terms of sports, runs off of this notion that it is a pay-to-play system, which in hindsight, cool. I understand it is a business and these companies and, leagues want to make money. But at the same time, if you want to compete with nations like Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, where they have a foundational level of football that starts from when they're 4 or 5 years old, these are the nations that you have to compete with. And these are the people that you will be seeing in international competitions, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's that joke of whatever the fuck the name of the federation is here for North America, Common Bull joke. I mean, that is the first step, I would say. And I know that's going to take time, but I think that if Pochettino does have a say in some things that he feels could be improved upon, if the federation asks him for certain ideas of things that they could implement moving forward, I would say begin with the youth level. Second thing, they have to increase the quality of countries that they play. The United States objectively should not be playing Jamaica, Cuba, El Salvador, and whatever else there is in Central America. They need to be playing the big countries because that is how this team is going to be successful moving forward. They need to have friendlies against Argentina. They need to go to Germany. They need to go to Italy. They need to go to Poland, for example. It doesn't matter. They need to play countries in Europe where the quality is much higher than what it is in their international federation. And I know that's kind of a joke, considering they just lost to Canada, considering I want to say, drew with New Zealand recently, which was an absolute joke of a game. But that is something that they need to do moving forward. And I think that Pochettino now has that pull where he can talk to the federation and organize friendly games against England, against, Portugal, against Switzerland, for example. These are countries that are I would say, much further along, obviously, in their development cycle as footballing nations. And the United States needs to play them, whether they win, lose, or draw, and learn from those mistakes and bring them forth into the next international competition. And the third thing. Now, football is growing in the United States. It will continue to grow. I understand baseball, the NBA, the NFL are much popular sports in this country, and I suffice to that. However, there is a World Cup here in 2 years. And I think that the best way to kickstart this Pochettino era, going back to my friendlies ideas, is to continue or to start playing these friendlies in the United States or in Europe and begin to hunt for some favorable or winnable games that will increase attention to the sport, especially the international men's team, considering that the international women's team is very successful, probably the best, I want to say the best women's international country, whatever. But they need to begin quick, and Pochettino needs to be given the reins to do what he needs to do to be successful. At Chelsea, they held him back, and it's funny to say that considering how much money they spent, but I firmly believe that Pochettino accepted this job because, and I think the reason why it took so long for this to be announced is because there were conversations about the level of control that he should be given and what he feels is right. But yeah, I mean, overall, I really like this appointment. I firmly, believe that this country is capable of going far in tournaments. They're not ready to win them. I'm not delusional in that sense. They could get to a quarterfinal, and if they're hosting the World Cup, they can get to a semifinal if they are given a favorable draw. I like Pochettino. I like the way that he instills his confidence in youth players. He brings them through the academy. I think we're going to see a lot of new faces in the national team, which is great to see because I'm sick and tired of seeing the same crop of players play. I think there has to be, new opportunities given to younger players, and so they can be given an opportunity to shine on the international stage and to give some United States fans some hope. To make us believe that we are capable of competing on the international level. And I don't know. With Pochettino, has he won a lot of things? No. But is he a guy that can build something and can create an atmosphere that is not toxic, that can change that, I guess you could say, doubter to believer mentality? Is he a guy that can instill a level of structure from the South American / European coaching resume that he has? I believe that would be beautiful. And it is something that I think this country has needed ever since they got rid of Klinsmann. And I still don't understand the firing of Klinsmann. I think he did a phenomenal job. And ever since he left, it went tits up. I think this country needs to be coached by an international manager. For now, as American coaches either go on to Europe, go to South America, whatever that may be, and increase, their knowledge of the game and ways to kind of, tactically interact with their opponents. But overall, I am incredibly excited. Mauricio Pochettino is a world-class coach. I know that his last 2 jobs have been subject to some criticism. I think PSG, he won there, obviously, as he should have, but also did lose the league title to Nice, I believe. Goes to Chelsea, doesn't really work out. So I think that this is a good little break from club football from Mauricio, and I think that this is an opportunity that, if done right, I think the sky is the limit. It's just the federation, the United States Footballing Federation, they need to let this guy do what he needs to do. And there cannot be, federation favorites of players that are constantly fucking picked when they're simply not good enough. And I'm not going to give the list of players for that, but I think we know who I'm talking about. And he just needs to be ruthless. He needs to be given free reign, and that is how this country will be successful. But that's the end of the video. That's my little Mauricio Pochettino hiring conversation. I think it was something that I really wanted to talk about. If there's anything that I missed, if there are American footballing fans that are listening to this and have watched this and want to put in some input, please put in the comment section if there's anything that I did miss, anything that you guys are excited about, maybe critical about, maybe you aren't a fan of Mauricio Pochettino, how I am. But put it in the comment section. Let us know. But I appreciate everybody following us, watching us. Please subscribe. Please leave a like. Follow us on Twitter at STLogicSports. Follow us on Instagram at StLogicSports. And enjoy. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. And I'll see you guys soon.